Rick's collection of 49 cars is simply unlike anything we've ever seen before.
I get a strong sense that he has hand-picked what he considers to be cars with a great story.
They're what a dear friend termed as wow cars. Rick's the type of gentleman that a fellow enthusiast will warm to.
Interesting that he came from a car family where his father and his grandfather were automotive executives.
He will have had great awareness of the worldwide appeal of cars, not just what was happening in the United States.
He was a connoisseur, and he appreciated the merits of the British cars, the merits of the Italian cars, the German cars, as well as the French.
Rick bought his Bugatti binder all the way back in 1968, and that's significant to note because that kicked off his lifetime of collecting cars. This collection breaks new ground within the Mecum consignment world because never before has there been such a collection of significant European sports cars that have come together at one time.
The European sports cars are highly desirable from the standpoint of their uniqueness and rarity.
In the United States, they're here in far fewer numbers than many other collectible type cars, and that only adds to the desirability, the uniqueness of it. You got to give Rick a tremendous amount of credit for his ability to not only find the right cars, but to keep them in an operational condition, not an easy chore.
To drive them, make sure all the fluids are changed on an annual basis. As a custodian of these cars, Rick was phenomenal.
And obviously the big benefit for that is going down the road, the new buyers, they're going to take advantage of that.
The Porsche 718 RSK, it's the only race car per se in the collection that's being offered here. In 1959, Porsche built approximately 37 production 718 RSKs, of which 5 had this unique feature of being able to convert from sports car to Formula 2 center seat racer. Porsche raced to great success in both the sports car races as well as the Formula 2 races with the 718 RSK.
One of the most unique cars in the collection is a 59 BMW 507 Roadster.
It's BMW's attempt, really, to take the fight to Mercedes with their 300 SL design, an open-top touring car.
It was BMW's first V8, had fantastic styling, but it went way over budget. Originally intended to be a $5,000 car. It ended up going so far over budget, they had to sell it for $10,000. And as a result of that, back in the day, it never got much traction. Fast forward with today, probably the most important car from that time period in BMW's history. And Rick happens to have a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Roadster, this one from 1961.
Mercedes produced the coupe version for a start, the fixed-head coupe with the wonderful opening doors, and that sold very well. But when the sales of that car inevitably started to trail off, Mercedes engineers wanted to respond with something to attract a new audience back to the car.
What's special about the 300 SL is its straight-six single overhead cam engine laid on its side, but it has fuel injection. And this was one of the first production cars to be so outfitted.
It was considered to be the most high-performance, street-legal car that you could buy. Add on to that, once again, incredible styling and the desirable Roadster body style, and it's an A-lister for any collector.
When we look at the Cobra, this is another car with a great story.
In this particular case, a late model car built in 1965 with the 289 cubic inch Ford V8, 2,200 pound car with over 300 horsepower, well balanced, a lot of fun to drive. They're great cars. The 67 Ferrari 330 series, kind of a grown-up grand touring car, a big husky 4-liter V12, again with that signature Ferrari sound and personality.
Ferrari's customer base began to complain to Enzo Ferrari that his road cars were a little bit sparse on the inside. They were more race cars than road cars. Where's the luxury? We want a luxury car from you, Enzo. And Maranello's engineers responded with the 330.
They only built 99 of these, so whoever acquires this car, they're going to get a really nice 330 GTS.
It's clear that Richard was attracted to sophisticated technology and improvements that had been made by the various manufacturers and the factories over in Europe. Case in point, I would say, would be the 275 Ferrari.
Perhaps the best balanced and the most desirable of all of the street-going Ferraris from the 1960s.
The Ferrari 275 GTB 4-cam was the ultimate iteration of the 275 GTB that was introduced in 1964. There were approximately 330 examples of the 4-cam built.
Richard didn't want the 2-cam engine because Ferrari had made those improvements, and that car represents the best that Ferrari could come up with. So if you have a 275 GTB 4-cam, you've got a real luxury piece of Ferrari engineering.
The Ferrari Daytona series from the late 1960s to the early 1970s is beyond legendary status.
It was never known as the Daytona within the factory, but the customers and the fans of Ferrari christened the car Daytona because of its great racing success.
I think what catches your eye about the Daytona when you look at it is it's such a marked contrast to her predecessor, the 275 GTB.
The rounded styling of the previous cars went to a new angular look from the folks at Pininfarina, and an instant legend was born.
Silky smooth power with those beautiful Pininfarina lines with great suspension. You have a masterpiece from Maranello.
Direct competitor to Ferrari for a top world-class high-performance Grand Touring car is the 67 Maserati 3500 Spider.
That is the sleeper in the collection. They produced the 3500 GTI with coachwork by Vignale, and they produced 242 examples. This, however, is not one of the 242. This is what Maserati referred to as the Fusiore. There's only perhaps 2 of this particular Vignale body 3500 GTI. And that's why, with just a little bit of digging, all of a sudden you realize, oh, this is a special car.
The 1965 DB5, the Aston Martin, has become known throughout the years as a masterpiece of engineering. Of course, the car gained great fame through its connection to Bond, James Bond, and that has done it no harm at all. But to have a DB5 in this condition in the collection makes perfect sense to me.
The coachwork is Italian by Carrozzeria Touring. It's basically a refinement of the predecessor, the DB4.
What makes this particular car so unique is the fact that it's a right-hand drive version, giving it a distinctively British flair, and it's also got a sunroof, very rarely seen. You know, the fact that Rick collected cars over 55 years, choosing the finest examples that he could find and keeping them in such a high level of condition is going to be a big benefit to the potential buyer.
There's a known quantity there right away. It's not like, what am I getting myself into? It's a low-risk proposition, let's put it that way.
I've seen an increase of European classic cars more every year because more and more collectors and buyers are attracted to them. To see this incredible collection that Rick has put together coming down to Kissimmee for 2023 to start off the auction week is going to be phenomenal.
49 of what's regarded as the finest European performance sports cars ever to go out for auction is going to be a win-win for both the collection and for Mecum Kissimmee.
I think there's going to be a number of very happy and contented buyers that have a lot of runway and blue sky in front of them.